Hi everyone, this is Vanessa from Corinium, and today we have Coinhako's Chief Information Security Officer, Pasi Koistinen, join me for a sit-down as we talk information security. Pasi, welcome, and thanks for joining us today to share your insights.
Thanks, Vanessa. It's absolutely my pleasure to be here and share whatever I've learned along the way.
Thank you. And the focus today will be on cyber risk awareness, stakeholder collaboration, and new trends in cybersecurity. So Pasi, let's jump straight in. How do you approach cybersecurity management and awareness within an organization? Can you provide an example of a successful cybersecurity awareness program you have implemented or improved?
Sure. I've actually implemented and improved quite a few set up from the scratch. So the first thing is when you look at the cybersecurity awareness holistically, you gotta think about it from the start to finish of an employment in the scope of the whole organization, and it's actually an effort that touches every individual in the company. So as such, it cannot be a project that has a beginning and an end. It's going to be a continuous process that needs resources, investment, time and effort, and it's not going to give hard results in one go. It's going to give soft results, which lead to reduction of risk in the long term. So this is the thing that we are looking at, and as such, it's good practice to put the thing on paper. So the security awareness program should be concerted effort. It should be approved by the senior management of the company. What is the appropriate level? Question, of course, about the size and the form of the company. But anyway, adequate support from the management, probably top management. I've actually implemented security awareness programs under different frameworks. It is required under ISO 27000, SOC 2, different country regulations. For example, European Union. I'm from Finland, so one example from there. In Singapore, we have Monetary Authority of Singapore, for example, requiring some sort of training and awareness activities taking place in the companies. So I think it is increasingly common, especially in the financial sector, that we have these programs anyway. So that's how it looks like from high perspective.
And how do you ensure that employees are aware of and adhere to cybersecurity policies and best practices? What strategies or tools do you employ to promote a culture of cybersecurity awareness?
All right, let's split that question into parts. I'll just try and answer the first one, how to ensure the employees are aware and adhere to the policies and best practices. So first of all, you have to have those policies and best practices on paper. It means that if you don't have a policy that is clearly communicated to the employees, you can't really expect anybody to follow it. So the best practice is to first write it down in a language from the point of view of the employee who's concerned about it. So if we're talking about end users, we have to have something like acceptable use policy or training deck for employees that they have to go through. And it doesn't contain all of the 1,000 pages of policies that you might have in the corporation. It's got to be brief, concise, regarding the daily work of individuals. And it's got to be presented to the employees along with the rest of the supporting material at the start of the employment. It's got to be also repeatable, which means either you go through the same thing on annual basis, which is kind of like the minimum in many industries, or you try and find different kinds of content, video, e-learning, and rotate the content on an annual basis or more often, depending on how you want to do it. But let's take an example from here in Singapore. Let's say Monetary Authority of Singapore. They don't exactly tell you what to do, but they say you have to teach the people about modern cyber threats and how to counter them. And that's got to be an ongoing effort. And there's got to be a program that contains this. So it's left to the cybersecurity management to choose the content, the tools, and how to execute this. So, for example, subscribe to a service that provides e-learning on cybersecurity matters. Rotate the content, make sure that every employee is on the system as an object, and require them to go through the selected contents a year. Try and make it relevant. So I think that's one way to keep track of that everybody's aware, they know what the policies and practices are, and those are based on real threats. And you have a tool to track that whole process. So that's how I would do it.
So, Pasi, how do you stay updated on the latest cybersecurity threats, trends, and best practices? Can you provide an example of how you have applied this knowledge to enhance cybersecurity management within an organization?
Sure. So that's a broad question, how to keep abreast of the whole industry and the threats. So, okay, the way it works in cybersecurity is that everything stems from the adversaries. So you've got to have a threat, risk, or something adverse that justifies your security activities and costs. So how to keep abreast depends a little bit about what you talk about. Is it regulatory changes in the industry, or is it the latest technical hacking techniques that the adversaries are doing, or anything in between? So there's no one single source of truth. You gotta integrate with different kinds of sources of information. Let's say you have a security team of 10 people. Some people might have, or some people have only one. In any case, people who are in charge of and policies, GRC functions should link up with news sources and regulatory sources that are relevant to the job. So let's say they have to make sure that you meet the regulatory requirements. They gotta check up on regulatory changes on regular basis. And if you have security operations, SecOps team, those guys should be very technically oriented and keep abreast of hacking techniques, hacking campaigns, ransomware gangs, technical things like IOCs. If different IOCs are released, they should be kind of syncing up that with their monitoring systems and following up that sort of things. What about CISOs, security leaders? We should be knowledgeable about a little bit of everything. We should be listening to our own management teams and making sure that we know where the company is going, or organization, where we're going, what kinds of major initiatives are coming up, and kind of figuring out what is it that security needs to provide to the management and the rest of the company as a internal service provider, or maybe perhaps to the customers, and aligning the whole team for the benefit of the rest. I think that's the broad answer.
And how do you assess and measure the effectiveness of cybersecurity awareness initiatives? What matrices or indicators do you use to evaluate the success of these programs?
So that's a very good question. How to make sure that your investment into awareness has paid off. It's not a simple measure. So you can measure kind of or approach the measurement from two perspectives. First one being what activities did you execute during a fiscal year, for example, like quarterly fish testing campaign. How many % of employees have finished their annual training? Did you provide 100% or less? You can set these metrics however you like. If you have regulatory requirements, let's say everybody has to go through 1 training session per year. Did you meet it or not? That's 1 or 0, black and white. Then we have the other side. You can approach this from the effectiveness of the training approach. When you do, for example, fish testing campaigns, you can see how many clicks you got. You sent 1,000 messages to test how people behave when they encounter a real looking message, fish message. So let's say you get 10% click rate, means that that's 1 measurement point. Next quarter, when you repeat the test, how many % did you get? And then you may try to follow up with some sort of an informative campaign towards the staff to make sure that they don't fall for it again, or improve the tooling to help them to report these messages. So you get a measure, technical measure. One more way, just count the incidents per year, quarter, month, how many successful attacks went through your defenses, and you had to treat it as an incident. So I would say that you can measure different things, but choose wisely. Choose a measure that you can repeat easily and that is meaningful and that actually drives the behavior towards the better outcomes. So the old saying that what you measure is what you develop. I think that's what's happening, because your attention will be on that thing. So I always choose personally few measures or metrics, but stick with the good ones only that I want to improve.
And the final question is, how do you collaborate with other departments or stakeholders to ensure cybersecurity management and awareness are integrated into the overall business strategy? Can you provide an example of a successful collaboration that has resulted in improved cybersecurity posture?
Yeah, I can. So over here in Coinhako, I'm actually a member of the management board. So I think that's a pretty lucky or beneficial position to be in. Not all chief information security officers are members of management team, but in general, I think it's good practice to put on paper a annual plan, some sorts of objectives for the next year, coming up year. So a security leader should link up with his peers, other department heads, either being a member of a collaboration team or by having one-on-one discussions to sync up and find out their business goals for the next coming up year, at least, and formulate a security strategy. This could be 1-year strategy or longer, depending on the case. And this should be formal and approved by the top management. So the review of that strategy on paper will ensure that the management is aware and approves that strategy. It comes with the resourcing, of course. So you have to ask for a budget while you go about that exercise. So that's something that I actually had to go through here in Coinhako in 2022 when I joined the company. And I can honestly say that we assigned resources, we did technological investments, so human and technological investments. We decided to undertake many large projects in compliance and certification. So the company is now SOC 2 certified. Company is also ISO 27000 certified. all done during the last year because of those initiatives that we put on the program. So I think it takes long-term effort, focused planning, but it's totally worth it. If you look at the whole thing from the rear view mirror, you can be happy that you did it. So it's definitely worth it.
Thank you, Pasi. It's been great to hear your thoughts on some important and topical trends. So Pasi will be speaking at CISO Singapore this August, so grab your seat while you can. Once again, thank you so much, Pasi, for joining me today.
My pleasure, Vanessa. My pleasure. Anytime.